And I think, but even more importantly than the specifics of what happened in Iran is this notion that the United States has embraced this country's outlook. The speech that President Trump just gave that you just played, it could not have been, would not have been written by almost by a Likud spokesman. It was a total embrace of the Israeli view of Iran and of its own future. And so it's now, all that said, everyone is a little on edge and afraid, and flights were canceled all morning, and school is canceled, and so forth. But we shall see. I think that there is a sense of an important corner having been turned.
Ethan, what are the expectations about retaliations, either within Israel or the region?
I mean, I think that there is enormous speculation about what Iran could and might still do. We know that they still have some long distance ballistic missiles. We imagine that those 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium that they were holding at a place like Fordo they say was moved in advance of the bombing. So in theory, you could take 60%, which is what it was enriched to. You could take those containers, those canisters, and you could, in theory, make a nuclear weapon fairly quickly. Would Iran do that? No one really thinks that, but nobody really knows. Could Iran attack American bases and so forth, Israeli embassies? All these things are being discussed. Nobody knows. Iran is very defiant in its public posture. But it must be said also that Iran hasn't been this weak in a very, very long time. I mean, all of its militias around the region have been taken out by Israel. And now it is very much on its back foot and led by a man in his late 80s
Yep.
who's probably in a bunker.
Ethan, what are the next steps? Is it believed for the Israeli military, who's had such amazing success in Iran over the last
Amazing
8 or 9 days?
success. Indeed. Look, they're continuing to attack in southwestern Iran today. Let's not forget that Iran did shoot off about 40 missiles at Israel early this morning, Israeli time. Nobody was killed as far as we know, but 70 or 80 people were hurt. Buildings were taken down. So there is still a sense that this ballistic missile threat is of enormous significance for Israel. The idea that every day, every night, this country has to run to bomb shelters to avoid it is a huge threat. And this is a country that has been a big part of the digital economy of the world. It can't continue in this fashion. So they are continuing to try to take out those launchers and missile sites. But we'll have to see what's going forward. It's still a little unclear what's next. And also it's unclear what the U.S. will do next.
We continue with Ethan Bronner, driving all of Bloomberg News out of Tel Aviv. We welcome all of you on Bloomberg Television around the world, across the nation, on YouTube, good morning as well, and on Sirius XM across Canada and the United States on Channel 121. Joe Matthew coming up with a balance of power shifting in Washington. But first, we continue with Mr. Bronner. Paul?
Ethan, you mentioned the U.S. military, obviously a very dramatic and lethal strike by the U.S. military overnight. What is the expectation within Israel about the role the U.S. may play in the hours and days to come?
I think Israel has been extremely careful about expressing too much expectation. The idea being that, we make it easy and then they want to join the winners. That's been the approach. They think that's been an effective approach with President Trump. Obviously, the president himself said, we will go back if we do not get what we want. And he didn't specify in this speech, but has repeatedly specified that what Israel and the United States together want is for Iran to commit not to enriching uranium on its soil and to give up its highly enriched uranium. Iran has said it won't do that. I would say that Israel is going to continue to carry it out and hope that the U.S. will join them when necessary. Yes.
Ethan, one final question. I'm sure we'll be speaking to you in the coming days as well.
Sure.
Ian Bremmer of Eurasia Group had a terse tweet or LinkedIn out last night where he said, this is the best week in the political career of Mr. Netanyahu. Do you agree with that? This is essentially Mr. Trump supporting Netanyahu as he could only dream of.
That's correct. I think this is an incredibly powerful personal triumph for Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a guy who was in pretty deep political trouble recently, and it seemed like it was over for him. In the story I wrote for Bloomberg early this morning, I said that Netanyahu was seen as kind of Golda Meir, the guy who'd be forced out by a terrible tragedy, failure on his part, but in fact views himself as Franklin Roosevelt, the guy who withstood the attack on Pearl Harbor and turned it into a massive victory for himself in the United States. So that's how Netanyahu sees himself. And look, I think Ian Bremmer had a point there.